Mr. John Stanhope AM, President and Vice Chancellor, Deakin University, Professor Ian Martin, CEO, Universities Australia, Ms. Katrina Jackson, distinguished guests from industry, academia, government, Gift City officials, IFCA officials, partners, alumni, students, members of the press from India and Australia, ladies and gentlemen. Today's event is a testament to the unparalleled partnership between the two of the strongest nations in the world and closest to life, Australia and India. Australia's second Prime Minister, Sir Alfred Deakin, had a lifelong love for India when he visited here in 1893. For a time, he lived in India, and he wrote this about our two countries, quote, "India is truly a land of wonders and extremes, and the distance which separates us is being steadily diminished year by year," unquote. Today, we celebrate that vision, ladies and gentlemen. Under the visionary leadership of the Indian Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, the Union Minister of Finance, Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman, the Union Minister of Education, Shri Dharmendra Pradhan, the Chief Minister of Gujarat, Shri Bhupendra Bhai Patel, the vision of Gift City is emerging and making its impact in the world as a hub of commerce and technology, one that will create unlimited opportunities through education and training, ensuring India to be an outstanding economic powerhouse. Australia acknowledges and congratulates the Indian government on this visionary step forward. The India-Australia relationship has never been stronger. Education is one of the key pillars supporting this very strong partnership. As a nation, Australia will continue to use its passion, expertise in developing opportunities for India, in India, with India. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I invite the Honourable Prime Minister of Australia, Anthony Albanese MP, to give his address.
Well, thank you very much, Your Excellency Devrut, Chief Minister Patel, distinguished guests, Australian alumni, current and future students. Good evening, everyone. Kemcho. Mustn't have been too bad. I am very, very pleased to be back here in India. Not in 1893, but I did come here in 1991 for the first time. So I have been a regular visitor to this wonderful country. And indeed, in 2018, in New Delhi, I launched the Australia-India Alumni Association, which is such an important organisation so that people who've been through Australian universities can keep that contact and that relationship with each other, but also with their fellow Australian, former Australian students. It does give me enormous pleasure to acknowledge that Deakin University will be the first overseas university approved to establish a branch campus in India ever. Quite an achievement. It is a great honour for Deakin University, but it won't be the last campus established here. I'm very confident about that. And it's a great honour for Australia that an Australian university has been chosen to be the first. The campus will be built at the new Gift District not far from here and will offer students the opportunity to study cybersecurity and business analytics with Deakin. Along with Deakin, the University of Wollongong also has intentions to establish a campus at Gift City. And of course, we will always welcome students to come and study in Australia, and it is great that they are back in large numbers this year. And that will continue to be an important focus for us. But not everyone has the means or the ability to pack up their lives and study in another country. There might be financial constraints or family commitments or a variety of reasons that you want to or need to stay closer to home. So the presence of Australian universities in India opens up new ways for Indian students to obtain an Australian education by bringing Australia just that little bit closer. When I was growing up, I didn't know anyone who was going to university. No one in my family had ever been to university. But Sydney University was just up the road from me, where I lived. I used to train and run around the ovals at the university. And so because I saw it all the time, the proximity made it just that more realistic and less alien to occur. To put it simply, it made it seem possible. And that is why the presence of an Australian university here will be so important. And I congratulate everyone in making it happen. When I met previously with Prime Minister Modi, with Foreign Minister Jaishankar, we had discussed as well the enormous opportunity that is there from having students do courses in Australia and India, both Australian students and Indian students. Getting that experience is something that is so important for building that people-to-people relations and understanding. And I really hope that at this campus we don't just see students, local students studying there, but we see Australian students from Deakin coming and partaking in some of their courses there as well. That, I think, is a sensible vision and a real reform that would make an enormous difference. There is another significant development in our bilateral education relationship I want to talk with you about tonight as well. And I'm pleased to tell you that we have finalised the Australia-India Education Qualifications Recognition Mechanism. This new mechanism means that if you're an Indian student who's studying or about to study in Australia, your hard-earned degree will be recognised when you return home. Or if you're a member of Australia's very large Indian diaspora, 800,000 and growing, you'll be able to feel more confident that your Indian qualifications will be recognised in Australia. It is the most comprehensive and ambitious arrangement agreed to by India with any country. It paves the way for commercial opportunities for Australian education providers to offer innovative and more accessible education to Indian students. And it provides a solid basis for our tertiary institutions to consider new ways of partnering with each other. I acknowledge my Minister for Education, Jason Clare, who was here just last week, his Indian counterpart, and everyone involved in landing this comprehensive agreement. It is a fantastic piece of work that will have really tangible benefits. These developments, Australian university campuses and the qualification mechanism, are just the latest additions to our ever-growing education partnership. The University of Melbourne has been offering blended Bachelor of Science degrees in partnership with selected Indian universities for several years now. It's fantastic to see that Melbourne Uni now plans to expand this collaboration by launching a dual degree with 3 of India's leading universities. The new Colombo plan has awarded 29 scholarships and more than 7,000 mobility grants for Australian undergraduates to study in India. This includes 5 scholars and 110 mobility grants in the 2023 intake. And I'm pleased to announce a newer scholarship offering, the Matrix Scholarships. These are for Indian students to study in Australia for up to 4 years. The scholarships are part of the wider Matrix program that seeks to boost cultural, educational and community ties between Australia and India. with matri, of course, being another word for friendship. So again, can I thank everyone who's been working on these projects, which will broaden the horizons of students from both of our nations. I congratulate all those associated with it. This is a day indeed of celebration. I've just been, I probably have still bits of colour on me from the holy celebrations that I've just been to. And this is another reason to celebrate today. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Honourable Prime Minister, for your inspiring address. Your energy and concerted effort will foster a very strong and a powerful relationship between India and Australia in times to come. Your belief in India will drive the future of the Australia-India relationship. Thank you, sir, for your address. I now request CEO Universities Australia, Ms. Katrina Jackson, to share her remarks.
Thank you, Ravneet. So terrific to see you, and congratulations enormously to all the staff who worked so hard on this project. What a delight it is to have you here, Prime Minister, for such an important occasion for both Australia, but also for Deakin University and for the Australian university system. It's a real treat for all of us. I'd also like to acknowledge the distinguished colleagues from both government and universities here in India and in Australia on the stage, and also around the room. So great to see so many of you in person, so many friendly colleagues. It really is a privilege to be here this evening representing Australia's terrific university system. The Prime Minister's announcement regarding Deakin as the first overseas university to open a teaching campus here in India, in Gujarat, is a firm indicator of a growing and strong relationship between Australia and India. Our nations are close friends, bound by strategic, economic and strong person-to-person links. And we're only getting closer. Our governments, our universities, our businesses are making sure of that. In Australia and India, there is a clear focus on a strengthening bilateral relationship. Importantly, education is front and centre, and that's exactly where it should be. Our two countries recognise the power of education and research, the power to lift individuals and communities out of poverty and to realise ambition and aspiration, the power to drive change, drive economies and drive progress. Australia and India have been collaborating with education and research for a long time. Between us we have 450 formal partnerships. Through these, Indian and Australian research teams drive breakthroughs that propel both of our nations forward. Australia's universities are also, as the Prime Minister has mentioned, providing a world-class education for increasing numbers of your terrific sons and daughters, Indian students. Since 2005, 1.5 million Indians have obtained an Australian university degree. We can build on this for the benefit of both our nations. As we know, India has a sweeping new education plan full of bold ambition. Australians love a bold, ambitious plan. You aim to educate 500 million students by 2035. 500 million in just 12 years. Australia's Education Minister Jason Clare called it nation-changing, and he's right. You've asked for our help in this incredibly important endeavour, and we are very willing partners. Right now, more Indian students are studying in Australian universities than they were before that thing I promised myself I wouldn't mention, but before the pandemic. Jason Clare was here last week with 11 Australian Vice-Chancellors, and I tell you, if there'd been enough space on the plane for all 40 Vice-Chancellors in Australia, they all would have been here. This week, I'm here as part of the Prime Minister's delegation with the top exporting CEOs in the country and valued colleagues from the university system. We're up for it. New partnerships announced by Minister Clare's visit will help boost research collaboration and broaden the ways we can offer Indian students the life-changing opportunity that an Australian university education brings. The new rules mentioned by the Prime Minister for mutual recognition of degrees are a very welcome development and will get more students working in areas of severe skill shortages, something that's a real problem for your country and a real problem for our country, in fact almost everywhere, faster. I've had the privilege of seeing firsthand the extraordinary work that Indian and Australian research teams do during previous visits to this wonderful country of yours. The work is wide-ranging, but agriculture and water security are two areas of particular focus. These two areas will shape how we combat climate change and maintain good health for our people and our region. The answers to the toughest challenges lie in research and education, and India and Australia do this very well. As we grow even closer, we will become stronger together for the benefit of one another, our countries, our societies, our communities, and the region we call home. This is a golden era for the Australia-India relationship. Let's make the most of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Katrina, for your remarks, reinforcing the importance of the Australia-India education relationship and the role that Australian and Indian institutions will continue to play in deepening and expanding the already strong collaboration across education, research, and skilling. I now invite the Managing Director and Group CEO, Gift City, Mr. Tapan Ray, to share his valuable insights.
Thank you, Ramneet. The Honourable Anthony Albanese, Prime Minister of Australia, His Excellency Shri Acharya Devratji, Governor of Gujarat, Honourable Chief Minister of Gujarat, Shri Bhupendra Patelji, Ms. Katrina Jackson, CEO, Universities Australia, Mr. John Steinhoff, Chancellor, Deakin University, Professor Ian Martin, Vice Chancellor, Deakin University, distinguished guests. At the outset, Honourable Prime Minister, please allow me to offer the heartiest welcome to India and the state of Gujarat. It is indeed an honour and privilege to be a part of this momentous occasion to mark the Australia-India education partnership. And as you mentioned, on a day that entire India celebrates as the Festival of Colours. I also take this opportunity to welcome Deakin University, and I heartily congratulate them for becoming the first institution to set up an international branch campus in Gift City. This is indeed a historic moment because it is not only the first university, but the first country to have come to Gift City opening their campus. Australia, as you all know, is one of the preferred foreign destinations for Indian students, and the demand for such higher education as a service is only going to increase over time. However, if the same service is made available onshore, as was mentioned by the Honourable Prime Minister, in India itself, a much wider section can be more conveniently targeted. In this regard, I must thank the Government of India, particularly the Ministry of Finance, led by Honourable Finance Minister Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, for designating the setting up of international campuses as a financial service. So we must realize that although it is education, but for Gift City it is a financial service in the International Financial Services Centre at Gift City. This will address the needs of a significant segment of students who are desirous of higher education at global standards in the fields of what is called STEM, that is science, technology, engineering, mathematics, as well as financial management. And that too without having to travel offshore. Gift City, India's first operational greenfield smart city, with India's first international financial services center, is a project of national importance. Gift City is the outcome of Honourable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi's vision, which was to create a world-class finance and IT zone in India for providing international financial services not only to India but to the rest of the world. So we at Gift City are further enthused by the wholehearted support of the state government, led by Honourable Chief Minister Bhupendra Patelji, for developing Gift City into a truly global and vibrant financial center. The establishment of a branch campus by Deakin University will open new vistas for aspiring students as well as for world-class institutions to operate from Indian soil. This will enable students to access best-in-class education near at home, and the program being offered by Deakin University on cybersecurity and on data analytics are indeed topical and also as per the needs of the industry. So it's a win-win situation for both the university and Gift City. The availability of such facilities at international standards within Gift City will also ensure a steady supply of highly skilled professional and talent pool for both domestic and global enthusiasts By onshoring a much required service, this development will further add value to the rapidly growing ecosystem at Gujarat. So I am confident, Honourable Prime Minister, that this development will kickstart a virtuous cycle in terms of collaboration between the academia and the industry, leading to long-term benefits for both Australia and India. Honourable Prime Minister, finally I express my deep gratitude for making this possible, and I am sure that is only a beginning of a mutually beneficial and sustainable partnership. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Ray, for your very kind words. This indeed is a very important day for the future of Gift City and the Australia-India Education Partnership. The people-to-people ties through world-class education will help the future economics and societies of our nations. And may I congratulate and thank the Government of Gujarat, our colleagues from Gift City and IFSCA to make this possible at such a fast pace that we are moving. It has been an absolute wonderful experience for Deakin University for the great support that we have received from the Government of Gujarat and the officials. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute pleasure and honor to now invite the Chancellor of Deakin University, Mr. John Stenhope AM, and the President and Vice Chancellor of Deakin University, Professor Ian Martin, to address the gathering.
Well, just a few short words from me. There are many distinguished guests in the audience and on the stage, and I thank you all for being here. And Prime Minister, I especially thank you for being here. Happy celebration. It's wonderful that you have another community. It is wonderful to be here, representing Australia and Deakin University, and to be part of this event involving the two governments, India and Australia. We are celebrating the special relationship between our two nations. And so, importantly, alongside our partners at Gift City, we are excited to provide education in India that will help prepare India's workforce for the jobs and industries of the future. It is through the shared pursuit of education and employability and research and innovation that we have built such a strong platform that has led to this moment. On behalf of Deakin University, I'd like to express my gratitude to everyone who has worked so hard to bring this to fruition. These are very exciting times, and through this new opportunity, we greatly look forward to building on Deakin University's almost 3 decades of engagement with India and continuing to play an important part in developing the India-Australia story. Vice Chancellor.
Thank you, Chancellor. Prime Minister, Chief Minister, Governor, many distinguished guests in the room, and friends and colleagues from universities, government and industry. And I draw those three out very deliberately because the success of this project is absolutely dependent on those partnerships across both government, industry and universities working incredibly well together. As you've gathered, this is a pretty exciting day for Deakin University. Deakin was named, as Ravni said, after our second Prime Minister, Alfred Deakin. He was one of the first politicians to see Australia's proximity to Asia and South Asia as a real advantage for the nation. At the time, he lamented the fact that trade and engagement was very limited, and he committed to visiting and studying what India was doing with irrigation, bearing in mind the similarities in many of the challenges of water management and sustainable irrigation that both countries still face. And in 1893, he wrote a book on irrigated India, and he commented, "We are near enough to readily visit India and to be visited. Its students might come to the universities of our milder climate instead of facing the winters of Oxford, Paris or Heidelberg, or indeed I'd add Boston or New York now. Our thinkers may yet become authorities upon questions which need personal acquaintance with India and its peoples. And he went on to say, we may hold it to be inevitable as well as natural that one of the first outward-going movements of our expansive Australian life will bring us into contact and then into communion with India. Well, perhaps it's taken a little longer than Alfred Deakin might have expected, but we're absolutely at that point now. Through the dedicated work of so many people in both countries, the relationship between our two great nations is stronger than it's ever been, and I do want to call out the work of both Prime Ministers in making this possible. Today's announcement builds on this and is based on the work of so many people. And as Ravneet said, this could not have happened without people working at incredible speed to go from an announcement that this was possible last October to being here today with the approval to start. We talk about a shared future, but I think it's important we define what we mean by a shared future and what part Deakin can play in this. Yes, research is part of what we're to do, but today we're largely talking about our education, preparing students for rapidly evolving industries, especially as part of the digital economy, and the possibilities that can be realised for students, their families and communities. Education changes lives, and Prime Minister Modi has put it front and centre of his strategy to build this extraordinary nation. The areas of study that we will offer as part of this exciting new development will support our nation's shared interests in the digital economy, and will seek to help Indian students capitalise on those new opportunities and possibilities. As you've heard, they're going to include world-class postgraduate qualifications in cybersecurity and business analytics, and then, as we build, to expand to degrees from the faculties of science, engineering, the built environment, and business and law. The campus is also going to be built on working closely with corporate leaders co-located at Gift City to make the most of this wonderful location, to offer cadetship and employment opportunities for Indian students, and importantly, to make sure our courses remain relevant and aligned with the needs of local employers. For me today, it's such a pleasure, in the presence of our 31st Prime Minister, to announce formally that Deakin University will become the first university in the world to open a teaching campus in India, in the heart of Gift City, which for those of you who haven't visited, just to see the pace of change and the scale and scope is quite remarkable. We've set ourselves an ambitious target of being up and running no later than the middle of next year. We hope to start earlier than that, but we've still got a little bit of work to do. But importantly, 2024 marks not only 50 years of Deakin being a university, but 30 years in India, working in India, with India, for India. I couldn't have imagined when I was here for 3 months as a young medical intern in rural UP that I'd be back standing here quite a number of years later. I don't really want to think how many years later, being part of this announcement. It's a wonderful full circle for me, and it's just part of a great love that I have for working with Indian colleagues. Thank you so much, Prime Minister, for helping us make this a special occasion. To the Minister, the Government of Gujarat, friends, colleagues, thank you.
And I can tell you, Ian, that I wouldn't have imagined this 30 years back, thinking that one day we will be here together and celebrating this momentous occasion. It has been a wonderful journey for me over the 30 years to be able to support the Deakin University relationship in India, with India, for India. I would now like to request the MD and Group CEO of Gift City, Mr. Tapan Ray, to hand over the official letter to the Vice Chancellor of Deakin University, Professor Ian Martin. Thank you, Chancellor. Thank you, Vice Chancellor. Your guidance, leadership, and long-standing support and love for India has made this day possible. I would like to thank all the staff who have made this possible. Congratulations to Deakin University for this watershed moment. This, ladies and gentlemen, will redefine the future of our youth, of our countries. It is a matter of deep privilege to have amongst us the Honourable Chief Minister of Gujarat, Mr. Bhupendrabhai Patel. Thank you, sir, for joining us today on this momentous occasion. I request you, Honourable Chief Minister, to give your address.
celebrate Australia-India relationship के इस इवेंट में उपस्थित ऑस्ट्रेलिया के ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर श्री एंथोनी अल्बानीज, गुजरात के महामहिम राज्यपाल श्री आचार्य देवव्रत जी, गिफ्ट सिटी के एमडी और सीईओ तपन रे, डिकन यूनिवर्सिटी के चांसलर श्री जॉन स्टैनहोप, वाइस चांसलर श्री इयॉन मार्टिन, सीईओ यूनिवर्सिटी ऑस्ट्रेलिया सुश्री कैटरीना जैक्सन, ग्लोबल एलायंस के वाइस प्रेसिडेंट और सीईओ सुश्री रविनीत पाहवा, गुजरात सरकार के वरिष्ठ अधिकारीगण, आमंत्रित महानुभाव, आप सबको मेरा नमस्कार। भारत के राष्ट्रपिता महात्मा गांधी जी, अखंड भारत के निर्माता सरदार पटेल तथा विश्व के सबसे लोकप्रिय नेता एवं आत्मनिर्भर भारत के प्रणेता प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी की जन्मभूमि गुजरात में आप सबका स्वागत है। प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के मार्गदर्शन में गुजरात आज देश का विकास का रोल मॉडल बना है। हमारी सरकार ने उनके मार्गदर्शन में गुजरात को राष्ट्रीय और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर एजुकेशनल हब बनाने का मिशन शुरू किया है। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी के मार्गदर्शन में तैयार की गई नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी के अनुसार भारत ने एजुकेशन के इंटरनेशनलाइजेशन के लिए कई विशेष पहल की है। फॉरेन यूनिवर्सिटी की भारत में स्थापना के लिए नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी में ज्वाइंट डबल डिग्री के ड्राफ्ट रेगुलेशन को शामिल किया गया है। गुजरात के लिए यह गर्व की बात है कि ऑस्ट्रेलिया की डिकन यूनिवर्सिटी गिफ्ट सिटी में अपना अंतर्राष्ट्रीय कैंपस शुरू कर रही है। इस नई शुरुआत के लिए मैं आप सबको हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं देता हूं। डिकन यूनिवर्सिटी भारत में भारत के साथ और भारत के लिए ये अभिगम के साथ गिफ्ट सिटी में अपना कैंपस शुरू कर रही है। भारत और डिकन यूनिवर्सिटी के बीच पिछले करीब 3 दशक से स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप है। डिकन यूनिवर्सिटी और भारतीय शिक्षण संस्थान, उद्योग तथा सरकार के बीच पार्टनरशिप फलदायी सिद्ध होगी, ये मेरा विश्वास है। बिजनेस सेगमेंट में जॉब्स के लिए ग्रेजुएट मैन पावर उपलब्ध कराने के लिए गिफ्ट सिटी के लक्ष्य को पूरा करने में डिकन यूनिवर्सिटी इंटरनेशनल ब्रांच कैंपस सहायक रूप होगा। मैं आपको बताना चाहूंगा कि गिफ्ट सिटी विश्व के लिए भारत का प्रथम फाइनेंशियल एंड टेक्नोलॉजी गेटवे है, जहां भारत में बैंकिंग, इंश्योरेंस और फाइनेंशियल मार्केट में अंतर्राष्ट्रीय व्यवहारों के लिए वैश्विक स्तर का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर उपलब्ध है। ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर, आपको यह जानकर भी खुशी होगी कि ऑस्ट्रेलिया के न्यू साउथ वेल्स के साथ गुजरात ने 2018 में सिस्टर सिटी एग्रीमेंट भी किया है। गुजरात और ऑस्ट्रेलिया के बीच लंबे समय से पीपल टू पीपल कनेक्ट रहा है। भारत और ऑस्ट्रेलिया के बीच बायलिटरल रिलेशंस को नई ऊंचाई देने के लिए फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट एक सक्षम माध्यम बना है। प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी के मार्गदर्शन में गुजरात आज देश का विकास का ग्रोथ इंजन है। मुझे विश्वास है कि बायलिटरल रिलेशंस और फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट का विशेष लाभ गुजरात को भी मिलेगा। ऑस्ट्रेलिया और भारत दोनों देश ने 10 से अधिक स्ट्रेटेजिक सेक्टर में संभावित सहयोग पर फोकस किया है। गुजरात जेम्स एंड ज्वेलरी, एग्रीकल्चर, टूरिज्म, हेल्थ एंड फार्मा एवं एनर्जी जैसे बहुविध क्षेत्रों में भारत का अग्रिम राज्य है। फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट तहत 2027 तक भारत को ऑस्ट्रेलिया के बीच 50 बिलियन US$ की ट्रेड और कॉमर्स की संभावित लक्ष्य को हासिल करने में गुजरात भी अपना महत्वपूर्ण प्रदान करेगा, ये मेरा विश्वास है। मैं आपको यह भी विश्वास दिलाना चाहता हूं कि जो भी इंटरनेशनल यूनिवर्सिटी गिफ्ट सिटी में अपने ब्रांच कैंपस ओपन करना चाहते हैं, हम उनकी सुविधा और सुगमता के लिए हर संभव मदद के लिए हर हमेशा तत्पर रहेंगे। प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी की विजनरी लीडरशिप में गुजरात को विकास का ग्रोथ इंजन और देश का नॉलेज हब बनाने में ऑस्ट्रेलिया के सहयोग की आशा करते हुए मैं मेरी वाणी को विराम देता हूं। धन्यवाद। भारत माता की जय। जय जय गरवी गुजरात।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया सर आपका। थैंक यू सो मच सर फॉर योर वेरी इंस्पायरिंग एड्रेस। At the heart of this relationship, ladies and gentlemen, is the youth, the generation that will herald tomorrow and drive progressive change and impact. Given our legacy of engagement with India for 30 years, Deakin is absolutely committed to taking this forward. The economic case is clear. India is by far the fastest growing major economy of the world, with GDP projected to grow at 7.1. This growth is driven by its large dynamic youth population, with 65% of Indians being under 35 years of age. And this is the moment to make a small contribution to see how we can support India in its journey. Today we celebrate a long-standing friendship and promise to usher into an exciting era, creating history that inspires us to pursue with energy, passion, and a deep sense of responsibility. This also reflects a synergy in our education systems, and I think after the mutual recognition framework, it will bring our education systems even closer. I would like to acknowledge the presence of Deakin industry partners, Tata Consulting Services, Infosys, HSBC, HCL, and Zevia for their support for this new and exciting venture at Gift City. This partnership will help India reinforce future youth employability. I would sincerely like to thank all partners, students and alumni who have traveled from all parts of the country to be with us here today. My deepest thanks to Australia's Deputy High Commissioner Sarah Story and Australia's Senior Trade Commissioner, Investment Commissioner Monica Kennedy for their unwavering support to make this happen. Happy Women's Day, ladies and gentlemen, and happy Holi. I request all dignitaries on stage to please stand for an official photograph.
Photographer, please side. Sit down. Thank you, KJ. Thank you, KJ. Thank you, Bolle bhai. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you everyone for coming in tonight. Without your support, this would not have been possible. I request all distinguished guests, please join us for dinner. Thank you very much.
बंद हो गया ना, पूछो नहीं।